Welcome to Dr. Prepper. Today we are talking about EDC folding knives. And now this is kind of my specialty, as I do run another channel, my primary channel over at G-Ball Vision. This is what we cover, but I feel like this should also be covered on a preparedness standpoint, a survival standpoint. And I plan on doing many more of these because EDC and survival preparedness are very intertwined. The things that you keep with you on your persons for an everyday carry are items that could then be used if you find yourself in a bad situation. You can insert any type of situation that might be. And I believe a pocket knife, whether it's fixed or folder, I believe you should have both. You should have a folder, a primary folder, and I believe you should also have a fixed blade either on your person or very close by. Keep one in your vehicle, keep one at home, and, keep one wherever you may find yourself on a weekly basis. That way it is close by. You have it. You know where it is. You can get it if you need it. And today I wanted to cover some companies and some knives of folders that I believe are perfect for an everyday carry that kind of leaks into a situation that might arise. Now, we're not going to talk about the situations. Everyone knows who's watching this that bad things happen to people all the time, whether it's just one person having their own issue, whether it's a whole block, a whole town, a whole city, a whole state. Whatever it is, there are tons of scenarios that happen every single day to lots of people, and I guarantee most of them people would wish that they had a knife with them. And I'm not talking even, we can take everything out of it except for the self-defense standpoint, right? If your car breaks down or something, or your vehicle breaks down in an area that is unknown to you, or it could be a trouble area that you were going by or through, or you're in the woods and there's creatures and animals, the scenarios are unlimited to the reasons you could need a bladed object such as this. Not only for everyday tasks, but all the way leading up to being used in all kinds of different environments, protection, maintaining other equipment, preparing fires, cutting twine, cutting ropes, breaking down cardboard. The list is almost endless. At the end of the day, you could use it as a pry bar if it was the last thing that you had and it was life or death. Knives are made very, very well these days, especially when you spend, say, 40 or 50 bucks. You're going to get a very durable, strong steel that holds a great edge. It's going to be very corrosion resistant. It's going to be treated very well. For the most part, you're typically going to have steel liners, steel construction. Now, the weak point of any folding pocket knife, if you don't know, is around the pivot. And that is why a full tang fixed blade is the number one go-to knife when we are talking about what should you have with you if it's the only knife and you're stranded or by yourself. Any survival expert or any survivalist or anyone who knows even a little bit of anything about the survival or preparedness game is going to go with a fixed blade. They're just stronger. They're more durable. There's no way around that. And that's okay. These are meant for more discreet carry. A fixed blade, depending on its length, if it goes over a certain height, it is going to be out of your pocket and noticeable. Whereas these will go deep down into your pocket and basically be undetectable unless you are trying to, show that you have a clip in your pocket. Then, the cat's out of the bag. But these can be even just dropped in your pocket if need be. But the crossover is just very evident. And I found a lot of people might get into survival preparedness because of being in the EDC world, because they flow together. I actually found the EDC world and the knife community through my survival and preparedness journey. Because I was long into preparedness and survival and projectile weapons and all that sort of thing before I ever got deep into the knife hobby, which I am very much consumed by. But that is how I really found that the community of EDC and knives. That's how I came to really get here. The knives and the content I consumed beforehand. And I know a lot of people go they go the other way. People are in the EDC community, they like knives, and a lot of the knife community is a lot of like-minded folks. You have outliers, and you have people who necessarily aren't preparedness and survival driven. But a lot of them people, I think, find their way over here just to dabble a little bit. But then you have a big majority of guys who, find out about the world of survival and preparedness and how much it really makes sense. It makes sense to be prepared so you can survive. There's been many times throughout the course of history where if somebody just had that one item, that one tool, they would have lived. Their situation would have been a lot better, and I can guarantee that with 100% certainty. That's the way it is. It comes down to having, just having some items that can be used in a bad situation. It's just like the seatbelt thing. You don't expect to get into a car crash every day, but you still put on your seatbelt. It goes to the insurance thing. Your house isn't going to burn down every day or get broken into or struck by lightning, but it's good to have insurance on your house. And it's the same exact thing with preparedness items. A generator, for instance. It's not something you're going to probably need every day. You shouldn't. But it's definitely good to have it if something does happen, if your power is out for an extended period or what have you happens. And every item that we could talk about under the sun that has to do with preparedness and survival is going to fall under that category. It's going to be better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. It's something that I live by. I would rather have something, never need to use it, never need it, but I would rather have the item, in case I do. Just like my generator, I have it all ready. It's ready to go, but it's not something that I use weekly, monthly, or at all. It's strictly for emergencies when the power is out. And that's a big investment, but I would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. No question about it. In the middle of winter, if your power goes out from a snowstorm or a car crash or whatever, you're going to want something to be able to heat your house, heat your family, make sure nobody dies. And that's what happens. People are unprepared in an unlimited amount of scenarios where if they just had that one thing, it would have made their lives a lot easier. Now, there's no way to be prepared for every single event that could happen, but the more things that you can cover, the better off you're going to be in a situation. You might have at least some things that can help you in that situation. You might not be fully covered, but if you can have some things to help you in that situation, it is going to make your life a lot better and possibly prevent you from dying. The same goes with having, if you're in a cold weather area, at least a few months out of the year, it's a great idea to invest in some propane heaters that are indoor safe, and have a way to heat at least a room up without relying on anything else other than what equipment you have. No power, nothing. Nobody's coming to help you. It's good to have some items like that. Mr. Heater does a great job with those. Those are indoor safe. Yeah, you want to have some ventilation. But if push comes to shove and the power's out and it's 10 degrees outside and the house is getting down to 30 degrees, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get the house heated up. Yes, be smart about it, but if you have propane heaters and they're not indoor safe, so to speak, and it's put those on and ventilate them, or not use it and throw your cards in the air and possibly freeze to death, I'm taking the propane and heater option first. And with what I've done as my primary job for many years, during the winter months in northern Pennsylvania, it gets cold here. And I worked outside all year round for several years. And we solely relied on propane turbo heaters in the houses. Now, we had to ventilate them with a window, but we still were using the propane heaters. And it's very smart to have certain things. That is the whole point. And when you find yourself, a couple years ago, I found myself in a situation where we didn't have power during the winter. Luckily, I had some stuff, limited stuff though. We had no power. It was freezing outside, and it was a couple days. Luckily, it was just 2 or 3 days or something to that effect. But luckily, I had a Mr. Buddy heater. I had a decent amount of propane. I had some candles and some things of that nature, right? But it only happened to our house. Nobody else no. How did that happen? Yeah, it was just our house, I believe, that was having the issue. No, maybe there was a couple houses. I can't exactly remember, but we didn't have anything. And at that time is when I realized I need to have a generator, something bigger than just a power station or a power bank. I need a generator that can really give me what I need. You'd be able to run your fridge, electric heaters, whatever, pretty much, depending on the size. You'd be able to run pretty much anything, off of that generator. Now, it is a big investment, but we're going to talk about some generators and whatnot here in the future. But it's just something that's great to have. And all this blabbering and whatnot is just ways in which to get people to understand that preparing is necessary if you want to survive. And that's why it's called survival and preparedness, because we prepare to stay alive, to keep ourselves alive, keep our families alive. So now, getting back to the topic at hand, I think that semi-discussion was good, even if it wasn't in regards to what our video topic is. But getting back to the knives, Miguron is a fantastic knife company that puts out a ton of different models in the, let's just say, $30 to $50, $30 to $60 range. that are going to be very well built, obviously very well priced, and they're going to have some very good materials. 14C28N on both, G10 on both. Great build quality, great ergonomics. This is a knife that, both these knives are knives that would last you a lifetime. They both come with a titanium pocket clip. They're both going to be built well, and that's the key. Built well and using good materials. And then your price is going to obviously depend on each individual person, what they can spend, what they're willing to spend, what they, want to spend. Some people might not settle for, even if they have no idea about pocket knives, they won't get anything for less than $100 because they feel like, if they spend at least $100, let's just say, they're going to get a better knife than anything under that, right? And in a lot of ways, that's true. But in 2023, you can get an amazing pocket knife for half the price of $100. It isn't like it used to be 5, 10, 15 years ago. This wasn't found in a knife. This knife would not exist 15 years ago at this price. There's no way. Judging on, I used to be, I was into knives as a kid and all throughout my life, just never to this point. And you could not get something like this under $100. There's just no way. And now they're finding ways to give us titanium, excellent finished G10, which is very strong and durable, especially mixed with steel liners. A great Sandvik 14C28N. It's very, very tough stuff. It holds a good edge for a long time, and it's going to be pretty corrosion resistant, especially if you're getting a coated blade. Miguron is definitely probably my number one choice when it comes to a knife that has the best value. Overall, this is the best value in my opinion. Let's bring out a couple more. So cold steel is definitely going to be in the mix. When you can get knives like this around the $60 price point, it's a great deal. This thing would be able to withstand pretty much anything that you could do with it. You would have to basically pound this knife into a tree with a hammer and then smash it with a sledgehammer to get it to break, basically. You would have to be doing something very stupid in order to bust this knife. You would have a hard time. So cold steel is fantastic. The AD10 series is great. Comes in Tanto or Drop Point, AUS 10A or S35VN, G10 handles, steel liners, triad lock, which is like the back lock, but twice as strong. And another company that's going to bring a lot of value for a little bit more money. These are going to be in like the $60 to $80 range. This is the Civivi Voltaire. I think this is around $60-ish, $65. 14C28N, nice micarta scales, steel liners, multiple ways of deployment, a reversible pocket clip for lefties and righties. You have a nice, useful blade shape for an everyday carry, possibly a work knife depending on your line of work. And this could serve as a knife that will definitely do some poking and slicing type tasks if we're talking about self-defense. And it's got a nice long blade, as does the AD10, which is a little thicker, more, even though this is a big knife, this is, a lot more stout of a knife, just thicker all the way around, overbuilt to the max pretty much. And then I would like to cover one more. Now, because this is just the closest one to me, but they definitely have knives in a lower price tier. Kizer Knives, it's another Chinese manufacturer, as is Civivi and Miguron. Cold Steel, a lot of them are Taiwanese or Chinese. But that's pretty much, unless you go with like an old school buck, which everyone knows about. These are USA made, like $30. This is the 112, buck 112. Fantastic knife. And this is a great option as well. The 112s, 110s, they have them all the way down in budget form at like $30, $40, and then they go all the way up to, let's say, like $130, $140. You can definitely get yourself a premium 110 or 112. So buck is going to be a great option, but Kizer, you're going to get a lot of value. That's kind of where these companies kind of overtake even a budget US company. As much as I love the US and I love USA Knives, and they are fantastic, you're just getting a little bit more value out of these foreign knife manufacturers. It's just the way that it is. The manufacturing costs elsewhere are a lot less than they are here, and they're going to have access to materials that are premium for a lower cost due to how much, I'm sure they buy of all of it. Micarta, aluminum, G10, different knife steels, the hardware. They buy that stuff, by the metric ton. And the manufacturing cost is a lot less over there than here in the United States. Kizer, you're going to routinely get like 154 cm steel, 20 CV, S35, and they are all three very well-rounded steels, fantastic steels. They have tons of different designs, different blade shapes. You can get your drop points, you can get Tantos, Warncliffs, sheep splits, whatever kind of fits your fancy. They have all kinds of different handle materials, and as does Civivi. Cold Steel is going to be more, G10 and steel and overbuilt. Miguron is going to be a lot of G10 in their budget line, or all G10. Something like this buck here is FRN, or just basically compressed plastic. Now G10 is a semi-plastic, I believe, but it's a lot different. If you've ever handled a G10 knife similar to this Miguron or even this Miguron, it is night and day different than something like this. This truly feels like plastic, whereas this has a nice soft, smooth feeling to it. So they are completely different. So don't think FRN and G10 are the same. And Micarta is definitely not even close to either of them. Aluminum's going to be fantastic, durable, strong. Micarta is comfortable, and when it gets wet or bloody, let's say, it's very not tacky but grippy. It gets grippier as your hand gets sweatier or wet or bloody. The micarta is going to take that material in and kind of make it even less slippery, which micarta is naturally grippy for the most part, depending on the micarta. But the micarta that you would get from Civivi or Kizer is going to be a nice grippy texture, opposed to the stuff that has a gloss over it. We will do a few more follow-up videos to this one in regards to different folding pocket knives and what is great for an EDC that kind of flows into a preparedness or survival situation. We got off topic a little bit covering some other things, but that is all right, because a lot of this stuff needs to be discussed maybe in a different type of video where we discuss certain things that fall under different groups of preparedness. But having great items that you keep with you every day, from a knife to a flashlight to a lighter, and that sort of thing is a great idea and will aid you in any type of situation you might find yourself in. But in the next video, we'll go over a bunch of different knife companies and different knives to cover that will fall in the same scenario as this one. We'll just get a little bit more in depth with it. That'll wrap this one up, guys. If you're here and you're not subscribed, you might as well hit the subscribe button. If you sat here for 25 minutes listening to me ramble on, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Let me know what knife you would pick out of what you have as your everyday carry that also can roll over into something you could depend on in a bad situation. Leave it down in the comments. I look forward to hearing from you. I will catch you on the next one.